Hey family, welcome to How Love Works, where we talk about the principles for lasting love. Well family, as I mentioned earlier, we're still talking about Ready to Love, that relationship program out of Atlanta, the big ATL. Well, I want to get right to it, brothers and sisters. I want to talk to you about a situation that I saw when I was watching the program 2 days ago. And it was with Kerrie and it was with Reva. Reva was having a little conversation. She was drinking a little bit, I think. Might not have been too much, but it seemed like she was really comfortable. And she made a statement about how she likes to be relaxed. And she made the statement to Kerrie that what really relaxes her is when she's at church or if she's at the shooting range and if she is having an orgasm during sex. Whether it be with herself, I don't know, or whether it be with a person, I'm not sure. I wasn't too clear about that. But I was very clear that she used that, and that kind of set me back on my heels, not because I was offended or anything. That didn't do it, but what got my attention was the fact that she told someone, this man, who she's trying to, I guess she was just trying to be open and accessible, and I don't really have an issue with that. I just don't think that was appropriate, especially since she didn't really know, what kind of man he really was, how he would receive that. But she didn't get the response I think she hoped for. She got the immediate response at the time. His response at the time was to be very agreeable because there was a lot of people there. There was a brunch and everybody was still kind of getting their mingle on. But he did send her a text message the following day. And the text message said this. He said, if you scream my name, that's what it is. If you scream my name in pleasure, let me see. If you scream my name in pleasure, what would it mean? Okay, what would you call me? That's what he said. What would you call me? And I was like, wow. She kind of asked for that one. She kind of asked for that one. Only because, you don't know how a man's going to respond to something like that. You don't know anything about him. So I would never do that. But that was a big no-no, and it's an indicator that, I guess being retired in the Navy and being around all the men in the Navy, and I was in the Navy, that's kind of way the men and the women communicate with one another. And it doesn't always go well there because, again, that's a domain that it's never been that way in history where men and women work together so closely and so intimately. And then, everybody on the job is a man. And so if women start talking like men are just going to automatically assume it's a come on or it's an indicator of something else. And a lot of times men are figuring out that's the wrong thing to do. That's what they're finding out now. And women are finding out they're sending the wrong message. But again, it's just because they don't know what they don't know. Okay. That's all I wanted to say about that but the next day he did invite her over to his place. Kerrie invited Reva over along with another group of people. He brought, I guess, another 3 people over there. And long story short, she gets over there. She was upset about the text message that he sent her. She asked him to explain it. He went right into saying that, he just sent it just to get a reaction, to find out how she would respond. It was somewhat of a test. That's what he told her. Based upon her response to what he said, I don't think she bought it. But at the end of the day, he kind of said he said it that he was no longer interested in her anymore. Okay, but I noticed she was no longer interested in him anymore. But what was crazy, it never entered her mind, not even one time, that she might have dropped the ball. Now, was she wrong? I'm not going to go that far out on the limb. Okay, I think it was just a Freudian slip. I really do. I don't think it was something that was intentional. I don't even think it was something sexual as far as she was concerned. I think she was just really being personable, and he didn't really, to me, say anything as extreme or no more than what she said. And I guess he just wanted to take her temperature to find out what she really meant. Was she giving him a come on, or was she? And based upon the reaction, I think that if he was a little bit more mature, instead of getting, all up in his feelings like he obviously did, and he just felt like, okay, we can't take this thing beyond this, he could have just been up and open and honest and said, exactly what his real intentions was and what he thought about the situation at the time. But he didn't. He decided to do what people do. This is what people do today. That's why their relationships never blossom. That's why they never turn into anything, because people won't say what they mean. They don't know how to communicate their true desires and their true dreams and their hopes and their aspirations for the relationship. They don't know how to do it. And so they end up alone, males and females. And they're just little tiny errors in judgment, Freudian slips, just not really understanding men, women nature. They just don't know masculinity, femininity. They just don't know what they don't know. It's just what I always say. All right, let me say this about a couple brothers. Jimmy, the real estate guy. I don't have a problem with Jimmy, the real estate guy. I just think Jimmy is a little bit of a little boy. He when he met Elisa, I think wait a minute, that's not her name. I think her name was Alexis. The pretty girl, Alexis. Right on the first day, he gives her something, a little heart. And then he turns around and he tells Terrell and whoever else he told that he gave her a heart. Childish, little boy. He wanted attention. Show, hey, yeah, I'm trying to get a leg up with Alexis. Not cool. Not cool. Because as a woman, whatever you're sharing with her, you're trying to build and develop trust, and you're also trying to build intimacy. You blabbing what you're doing is not going to do that. That's a big turnoff. He did that with Alexis. I think she was turned off after she found that out. And then he turned around and did it again because he started talking to Kimber, another real estate agent. He blabbed something that he said that they shared together. Again, he has no integrity. And even though, he kissed on her and all this other stuff, he got caught up. He just can't, he's not a mature man as far as I'm concerned. He's got a big mouth, he talks too much. And I think that no one would know this. She could have checked him instead of saying what she said. Kimber said some things, I guess. When you see the next episode, I saw that was the trailer or the previews of what's coming up next week, where she was pretty upset when she found out that he opened his mouth. And at the end of the day, she said he was dead to her. And I kind of thought that was an overreaction. Unless they did something. I don't know what they did that he divulged later. But that's something she could have checked him on in a more mature way. But at the end of the day, maybe he doesn't deserve it. Okay, and the last guy is Terrell. Terrell was the second guy that Reva was willing to give a chance, or give a chance with, or give him a chance, if you will, after she had pretty much said she didn't want to deal with Kerrie. And when he came over to her place, he kind of just went off the deep end talking about, random things and sexual overtones and bodily things. He did the same thing with Divine. He was talking about her body parts and everything. And I'm like, you just started out like the little church boy talking about how virtuous you were. And then you go right into the sexual communication and start talking about female body parts. I'm saying to myself, this guy is not he's not really consistent with what he preaches and what he actually says. And I've said this on many occasions as I get ready to, I just got finished saying what I had to say about what I noticed with this last episode, is that that's the last thing you want to be doing. And the last guy I want to mention was Chica. Chica was the guy that kind of went off on Ashima, the comedian, and he got all upset to the point where he did raise his voice. But to his credit, he did take responsibility. And initially, he was being resistant, but eventually, the female that talked to him, she was able to connect well enough with him where he was able to decide to say, okay, yeah, that I did. I think I did talk a little bit too aggressive, I guess you might say. But unfortunately, spoiler alert, he was removed, as well as Terrell. He was also removed, and it makes sense, that those two guys would leave. I don't know about Chica so much, but at the end of the day, that dude was 40 himself. Terrell was 39, something like that. These guys, I'm seeing just some big ages, man. And some of the guys had been married before, and some of the guys never been married. And same thing with some of the women. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know. If you've been single that long, it might be too late for you. If you value your career that much and you just put everything into your career, then you may forfeit a family and love and devotion. That might be something you forfeit. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that might be the case, because one of the things that you don't build, you don't develop. If you're going to focus all your attention on your career and you're building your network so that you can have the latest and the greatest career, and then you focusing your attention on material acquisition, I'm gonna, family is not really. It's like an afterthought. So you haven't developed what you need to develop in order to be able to have a family and able to do the give and the take and deal with the daily grind of having a family. Because you got to do a lot of sacrifice. You're going to suffer. You're going to experience pain. You're going to experience all kinds of things that go with having a family, because you can't put the mask on no more. Everybody see the good, bad, and the ugly. And if you're used to, seeking happiness, is that's your fundamental goal, is happiness and everything, and that's really what you believe, because that's what the culture teaches, that's what you see on TV and in all the magazines, then you definitely don't want to get married, because that ain't the goal, baby. The goal is meaning. The goal is meaning, not happiness. Happiness is like hunger. You feed it, boom, you good for a while. But meaning is something that comes from taking on responsibility. And then meaning comes from that. The more responsibility you take on, the more meaning you derive out of your relationships. And then happiness is a consequence of that. But if you're going for the other way, you're not going to be happy. You can just mark it down. You're not. And you're going to be getting your little paperwork together and getting a divorce. Looking for the next guy and getting on the next horse. And thinking this thing called marriage ain't for you. And it probably isn't if you haven't developed yourself. Now, let me say this and call it a night. All right. Family, it's like this. Ladies, gentlemen, I'm a real big advocate of these three things. I think that when it comes to relationships, you need an agenda. Period. You need an agency, and you need to regulate your access. Those are the three big A's, the triple A's. You need an agenda. In other words, you need a plan. Stop all this accident, this chance stuff. You need an agency, just like the movie, or the not a movie, but the program Ready to Love is considered an agency. They get the people together. These people are supposed to be like-minded, and they go for it, right? So you need an agency, whether that be a network like your church family or your immediate family or your friends. You need an agency. People who love you, they know what kind of person you are. These people will help you. It's almost like an arranged marriage thing, right? And you need to limit your access. But when you are providing access, you want to give it out. You want to give your access out. You want to be earned. You want to drip, drip, drip it. You don't just want to just lay it out like a blanket. Okay, but we can go into more detail over time with that. But that's all I want to say today about the whole, ready for love. Maybe next time when we get together, we'll talk about some of the things I'm not seeing them looking for and what they should be looking for. That's my time. I thank you for yours. I catch you on the other side. God bless you.